What's up with y'all? It's your girl P.LaToye. Okay, let me see. The camera's over there. Okay, it's your girl P.LaToye. And as promised, this is my version of what I'm calling a virtual freestyle book. A virtual freestyle book. Y'all give me one. I'll be right back. That music that you hear playing in the background is yours truly. This song is called Emotional Affair. Anyways, you guys, I just want to let you guys know, because I've been singing non-stop and because the weather is up and down, I have a tiny cough. Let's clarify something before we get started. Your girl don't got the Roni, okay? I call it the Roni, not the Rona. I call it the Roni. But anyways, before we get started with this first chapter of my life, I want y'all to hear the harmony on this hook, okay? Clearly, see, if y'all following me, you're a lover of music. So check this out. Emotional affair. Hey. Anyways, welcome all. I'm going to sorry if y'all keep seeing me lean like this. My notifications. Anyways, though, I'm calling this my virtual freestyle book, because instead of typing my book or instead of writing my book, I'm just gonna freestyle it and give it to y'all like it is, okay? So let's get it started. So my government, Precious Franklin is my name, was born May 3rd, 1982. So my birthday was yesterday. Whoop whoop. Your girl was turned 21, and that's my story, and I'm sticking with it. But anyways, I just told y'all what year I was born, so you do the math. But anyways, so you know, let me tell y'all something before I start my story. I ain't trying to add nothing extra. I'm not trying to take away nothing. I'm not gonna try to make my story no extra than it needs to be, because it's enough shit in there for it to be what it is. So later on in life, I found out me being born, my mom, apparently she didn't want to have another baby. I had a sister, she passed away. Then she had my brother, who's 6 years older than me, and his birthday is May 2nd. And then she had me. According to, you know, when you grow up and the skeletons start coming out the closet, we're going to get to that kind of shit later. I found out that my mom did not want to have me. In my opinion, I think it's because she didn't know who my father was, but that's a whole nother debatable issue. Anyways, born, I'm going to take y'all all the way back to as far as I can remember. The earliest memory that I can remember that's significant in my life is, I was living with my mom, and I had to be about 6 years old. At this time, I went to Belvedere in Omaha, Nebraska. But at this time, I was, for 1 year, it was the second grade, I believe. And it was a predominantly all-white school. And this is how long I've been into music. So I remember my teacher, her name was Miss Carlson. She was passing out, permission slips to be in orchestra. And I don't know if I told y'all this, but I played the violin too. So I come from, my mom was poor. My mom was a smoker. Shit, I lived in the hood. My mom was a smoker. So I was very poor. I just recently cut all my hair off, but I had very long, thick, pretty hair, but it was nappy. I was dusty. However, I was very bright and very talented. I was an above average student, and I wanted to play the violin. And the teacher took time out of her day to embarrass me. As a child, I remember she used to make my, she told me in front of the whole class that I would not be able to be in orchestra because my family was too poor and we couldn't afford it. It confused me as a child. I didn't understand. Excuse me, y'all. It confused me as a child. I'm sitting here sucking on cough drops, y'all. But anyways, moving forward, I remember she used to make me write my papers over and all that. She is the reason why I consider myself to be a overachiever when I was a kid. But anyways, moving forward, I don't have to get into a whole bunch of different stories. Just know this. Things were not good where my mom was. My mom, she started off selling drugs, and then she ended up doing drugs. And me and my brother were not taken care of. And let me let y'all know while y'all listening to this, all the music that you hear in the background, it's your girl P.LaToye. But anyways, my mom ended up going from selling drugs to doing drugs, and we were not being very well taken care of. So in 2nd grade going into the 3rd grade, my grandmother came and got me, and my brother went to go live with my Aunt Vicky. Okay, so at this point I'm about 9 years old, and life is good, blah 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 blah. So at this point in my life, you guys, I'm living with my grandma. She has foster children living with her, mostly girls. So she thought bringing me into that environment would help. Now, let me give y'all a little bit of background before I move. We're going to pause right there. My grandmother, I'm talking about my maternal grandmother, my mother's mother, the one who I ended up moving in with her first set of children, when they got grown, as what happens in a lot of families, not just black families, a lot of families, when the kids get grown, she found out a lot of crazy shit that happened with her kids and some old shit when they got grown. So when she became a foster parent, and then she brought me in to raise with the foster kids, she was very lenient on her biological children. So with us, she was the total opposite. Super strict. You have to know that, because that's a big piece. That's a significant piece of the story. Okay, so she plans on doing everything different. Like she don't let us spend a night nowhere. She watches us like a hawk. We have to dress a certain way. We church, home, school, choir rehearsal, Bible study. In her mind, she's on it. In her mind. So comes along a cousin of mine. She meets this male friend of hers. Long story short, they fall in love. And in the process of them falling in love, he starts molesting me. And all the way to the point of penetration. And without getting in too much to detail, it's gonna fast forward you up to my life a little bit. During the time with living with my grandmother, I don't complain about my life. I had a good life. Well, you know what? I guess I maybe got to this part too fast. See, that's why this is the gotcha with the freestyle. Okay, so let me take y'all back, because I ain't writing nothing down or nothing. I'm gonna just give it to y'all straight. So before I get to him molesting me, I'm gonna say this. My grandma got me in the church and got me into the choir, because this is really focused about my singing. And I got a solo in the choir, and once I performed that solo at church, the reaction of the adults in the church is what let me know that I really had a gift. So my grandma, she saw dollar signs, and she started to, I just stayed in the choir. Then I got into a gospel singing group. I was singing background for grown adults. I was doing it. Okay, so all of that was happening. Then here comes my cousin, and she meets this man who ends up becoming her husband. So probably, I want to say when I was about 11 or 12, maybe even 10. I can't remember exactly what age it was that it started, but it was fairly after I moved in with my grandma. The very first time something happened between him and I ain't even gonna say between him and I like it was the thing, but the first time he violated me, he just kissed me. I was very young. It progressed into sex, and I'm not even gonna get into every single story. It happened. You know. And I also have to put this part in the story. When I was a child, my mom was with my dad. I'm gonna continue to call him that. Later on in another chapter of my life, you'll find out later on there's a problem with this story, but he was there with my mom when I was a child. But anyways, he ends up going to prison. My mom ends up, she ended up going to jail, but not for prison, but she went to jail for like a week or something. But by the time she got out, I was living with my grandma. My brother was living with, my brother, according to my family, my brother was extremely physically abused as a kid. I wasn't. But we gonna get to some more of that later. So anyways, I'm living with my grandma. Everything is good. Life is good. So I thought, then my cousin's husband, she ends up marrying him. I sang at their wedding, ironically, when I was 12 years old. I sang at their wedding. But he molested me for years, from 9 all the way up until I was about the age of 14. So let's get to that. Okay, let me put a couple of points in. So when I got to about the age of 14, I had my very first puppy love boyfriend. His name was Carlos, and he was a blood. And long story short, the summer going from 8th grade into 9th grade, he was murdered. That was the first time I ever suffered any real loss. Keep in mind, during this time, I was being molested. My mom was out here doing whatever. My alleged dad was in prison. My brother was living with somebody else, and then after he was adulted out, he ended up going to the military and moved away. So I'm just, you know, stuck. So Carlos, that happened to him, and then I ended up meeting a very good friend of mine named Paul Porter, who he ended up getting killed too. They say he committed suicide, but he didn't. But he was my next puppy love boyfriend, and he ended up getting killed too. Then I ended up, after, when I turned 14, my grandmother got to a point where a lot of stuff had happened. I'm not going to focus on like my family, a lot of skeletons and stuff that happened in my family. I ain't going to bring all that out because I just want y'all to know the history of why I sing. Just know a lot of stuff happened in that household that I grew up in. And once I got to about the age of 14, my grandmother felt like my mom needed to step her game up and take care of her daughter. So she sent me back to go live with my mom. Oh my God, why? So I went back to go live with my mom. And come to find out, my mom, this abusive woman that I was told about that was abusive to my brother, she started being abusive to me as a teenager, and it was brutal. It was like on some Ike and Tina shit, real talk. So anyways, I ended up meeting my husband. Me growing up with my grandma, I grew up on 34th and James Street in Omaha, Nebraska. That was a very well-known blood neighborhood. It still is. So I ended up meeting Lamar, who is now my husband and the father of my 6 kids. But I was 15 years old. I ended up meeting him, and so I thought fell in love with him, and his mom, who is now my mother-in-law, she allowed me to come and live with her because my mom was so abusive. I feel like she saved my life. You know what I mean? It was that bad. It was that bad, but at the time, I started pouring myself into music. I got pregnant with my first baby, my one and only son, who is now 19. And that's when I started recording, when I was pregnant with him. And I started finding out that music was just so important. It was therapeutic to me. But let me take y'all back. Right before I got pregnant with my son, so when I met my now husband, his nickname was Gangster when I met him. So that will give you a preview of what that was. Keep in mind, I came from a church homeschool environment. When I met him, his family was everything hood. Motherfuckers was selling dope. Motherfuckers was hitting licks, busting checks, all that. And that was a lifestyle I was not familiar with, but I was definitely fascinated with it because I came from such a sheltered lifestyle. So I was like, oh shit, okay, that's what we doing. So I was introduced to that lifestyle, and to be honest with you, I was turned out. And thank God the foundation of me was being a woman of God and knowing the word of God. That was the foundation of me. But I start doing stuff I wasn't supposed to do, and you know what I'm saying, I ended up getting pregnant at 18. We had our first baby, and just over the years, me and my husband, well, I'm gonna say at this time he was just the father of my baby. Me and him would constantly get in trouble back and forth, in and out of jail constantly. And so for the most part, you know what I'm saying, I never really was able to focus on my music. Before I met my husband, my now husband, I was so focused on my music. I was always first chair violin. I was in choir. I was a above average student. Straight A's. Or we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 when I was in school. It wasn't A's and B's. It was 1s, 2s, 3s, 4, 5s. I was a very excellent student. But because, and let me tell you, I did so when I was 17. This is one of my favorite songs of mine, y'all. It's called Ain't Gonna Be Able to Do It. But anyways, when I was 17 years old, I was in the youth center, which is Baby Jail, DCYC. And it was my 17th birthday. So my family came to visit me, and my dad, who I thought was my dad, he came to visit me, and my mom was so mad. So we sitting there during the visit, and everybody bought me cards and stuff, and my mom just was like, she was so mad at him, and he was like, you need to stop acting like that. Like, they arguing back and forth, and she was like, you not her dad. You need to tell her that. Like, you not her dad. And he was like, it don't matter if I'm her dad or not. Like, I've been in her whole life. I'm all she know. So I am her dad. So I'm like, what? I'm like, hold the fuck up. What? Hold on, wait. So if he ain't my dad, then who's my dad? Hence the reason why I ended up writing a song called Whoever You Are. Go ahead and download that. Look it up. It's on all the... It's Whoever You Are, P.LaToye. As a matter of fact, it just went off. If you go roll this video footage back, it went off and you'll hear it in the background. But yeah, so that shit happened. So here we go. I was born unwanted. My mom ended up doing drugs, went to go live with my grandma, where I thought everything was going to be good, but I ended up getting molested. My first 2 boyfriends in my life was murdered. And then I had to go back live with my mom, who was abusive as fuck. And then I ended up meeting my now husband, and end up learning how to, because I was rebellious already because of what I have been through, was ready to live the lifestyle. In real life, live Bonnie and Clyde. And we did that. We're going to get to them stories, though. So here we go. Like I said, I got pregnant with my first baby. I found out my dad wasn't my dad. I still call him dad to this day, but I found that out. So at 19, that was the first time I went to go record. That's when I met Alfonso Lee Jones, from Icon One Music. Anybody who don't know him, look him up. He's an incredibly talented producer, engineer. I'll even go as far as to say a songwriter. He's dope. So I met him when I was pregnant with Martez, and he encouraged me to write. He actually is the one who named me P.LaToye. Actually, P.LaToye is my first initial middle name, but he came up with the idea. But anyways, I met him, and he encouraged me. I wrote a song, we recorded it, and it was awesome. He was like, you should keep writing. Like, you're fucking dope. So I continued to write, and I continued to record, and y'all see this? So anyways, he encouraged me, that's your girl P.LaToye. He encouraged me to continue to write, and I did. And I've been performing all over my city at funerals, weddings. It's countless funerals. I don't even know how many. Sorry, y'all keep scratching. My tattoos be having itchy spells sometimes. Man, it's incredible. I don't even know how many times I performed, but I will tell y'all this. When I was 14, I traveled all the way to New York to go perform at the Apollo Theater. As Tal Jackson's Talented Teen International, I represented as Miss Nebraska. I remember that year Miss New Jersey won. Miss St. Kitts and Nevis, she did the Jamaican drums. She was killing it. It's an experience I'll never forget. I met Regina Bell and Marcus, I can't remember his last name, but he sang the voice of Simba. I'm gonna be a mighty king. He sang that. What's his name? Is it? No, not Marcus Houston. Y'all know who I'm talking about, though. He played in ATL. But yeah, you know, so like I said, my family saw dollar signs with me as a kid, and then once I went to the dark side and started selling dope and doing all that other shit, it was a wrap for music, and I quit. I gave up on myself. But once I discovered writing, I started becoming a part of the music circle in my city, Omaha, Nebraska. And that's when shit gets interesting. I start pouring myself into my music, into the lyrics of my music. And once once other people start recognizing my talent and start telling me, I didn't know my worth until other people start telling me that I was dope. I didn't recognize it, but I know that music is in my DNA. I don't know where it even comes from. You know, it may come from my father. I don't know who that is, but I don't know where the love for music comes. It's the craft of singing. Just knowing how to do runs and how to crescendo and decrescendo your voice, and how to go from full voice to falsetto, and how to do arpeggios and scales and vibrato and all of those things. You know what I mean? It's a craft to it, and I feel like I have studied it without going to college. I've studied it my whole life, and it's something that I just love to do. So where I'm gonna stop at is right here. I'm gonna stop at where I first started recording in 19, and I'm gonna tell y'all, I got some stories, man. I done did different things with different people in the music industry. I've recorded not all over the country, but I've recorded in Atlanta, I've recorded in Chicago, I've recorded in LA. I've done some things, so I definitely got some stories to tell y'all. But the first part of my life before I met my husband, it was incredibly mind-blowing. Now that I'm grown, I'm learning to unlearn the toxic shit that I was taught, because now I have 6 children, 5 daughters and 1 son, and it is my duty to teach them how to live and walk in the Word of God. And I feel like I was cheated out of that. And unfortunately, I know that the generation before me and the generation before that, my grandmother and her kids, it's not their fault, it's learned behavior. But at some point, somebody got to wake up. Somebody got to wake up, because the cycle stops with mine. And before y'all judge me, yes, I am a woman of God, and yes, I do cuss. I'm working on me. Don't judge me. Don't judge me. What is that, an ad? So, this is chapter 1. Let's do a summary. I was born. My mom didn't want me. I found out later that she didn't want me because she didn't know who my dad was. Okay. I lived with my mom up until about the age of 8 or 9, because my mom could no longer provide for me and my brother. And I went to go move with my grandma. When I went to go move with my grandma, shortly after that, my cousin's husband came along and started molesting me, all the way to the point where he penetrated me and took my virginity before I even started my period. I got a song about that too. And I became rebellious. I became rebellious so much to the point where my grandmother wanted me to go back and live with my mom, because she couldn't understand how I just went from this wonderful child that was doing pageants, and I did so many pageants. One pageant after pageant after pageant after pageant after pageant. Like I said, even went to New York, performed at the Apollo Theater, rubbed the wood, all that. But I couldn't understand why nobody could see this motherfucker was fucking me, and I'm a kid. Nobody could see that. So I became rebellious, and she sent me back to live with my mom, thinking that was gonna help. And my mom didn't do nothing but abuse me physically. So I'm being abused physically and sexually. And that's when I ran into my husband, my now husband, and we've come a long way, him and I. But I always knew when I met him that his heart was big, and he was a product of a man of God. I knew that. I could feel it. And he really was my saving grace at the time, even though we went through a lot of shit over the last 22 years. But I knew when I met him that I would find a safe place in him, and I did. Hence the reason why I'm still here 22 years later. So, you know. So where we at? 14. I'm gonna go live with my mom. I meet my boyfriend at 15. They let me go live with them, and my mom just gave up on me and let me live there after calling the police on me a million times and getting me back in and out of the youth center and trying to get me locked up in the psychiatric ward and all of that. She finally just let me go and let me be me when I was 16, and I've been on my own ever since then. And I started living with my boyfriend and now husband, and we end up getting pregnant with our first at 18. And let me tell y'all this. I ended up telling about this man molesting me when I was 16 years old. It stopped when I was 14 because he moved to Minnesota with my cousin, and then there are 2 kids that I would babysit. They ended up having 2 kids that I would babysit. So when I told, even though I didn't tell, I was building a case up to tell, and a nosy family member overheard me talking about it to my cousins, and I'm strong enough to not cave into her bullshit. But when I left, because I lived with my boyfriend, they caved in, and she called up to Minnesota where they lived, where my brother and a whole bunch of other family lived, and spilled the beans, and of course added her own little seasoning to the shit, and it just exploded into something crazy. And my family has been divided ever since. I was 16 years old then. I turned 38 yesterday, so that was 22 years ago when I met my husband, basically. The year before I met my husband. It's sad. It's sad. We had a family reunion every year before that, but half of my family believed me and half of my family didn't. He was that smooth of a criminal that he was so trusted. So that happened. And then I carried that weight on my shoulders that my family is divided because I decided to tell on the predator because I thought he was doing some shit to one of my little cousins. But I don't even know if he was or not because nobody wanted to admit anything. He denied everything, and half of my family believed him. Half of my family didn't believe me. As a child, they didn't even believe me. A lot of the women in my family would compare their husbands to this man like he was a smooth operator with the shit. Still walking around Atlanta, Georgia till this day. His name is Rodney Bradley. If you live in Atlanta, Georgia, his name is Rodney Bradley. And when he was here, he was working for Boys Town as a counselor. He was a football coach. He was always has jobs around kids, and I can guarantee you he probably working around kids right now, and hopefully he's not molesting somebody's child. But anyways, all of that happened, and then when all of that happened, I'm damaged goods. That's when I meet Lamar. And he's a gangster. I'm a church girl, but I'm damaged. We meet. And that's when she gonna get interesting, y'all. Like I told y'all, we got pregnant with our first baby when I was 18, and that's when I started pouring myself into writing music, and shit just got real, man. Life got real. Me and my husband moved out on our own. We wasn't married yet, but I'm just used to calling him my husband. But we moved out on our own, got our first house. We had Martez, and that's where the story gonna stop at, y'all. That's gonna be chapter 1. So y'all know a preview of how I grew up and all of that. Chapter 1 over, y'all. It's your girl P.LaToye. We gonna get down to the nitty gritty because it's just getting good. I just don't want to get into every single detail and every single aspect of my life, because eventually it's going to get to the point where the book is going to be like it's going to be like a daily blog type of deal. So chapter 1, we're going to call it the summary. That's what we're going to call chapter 1, the summary. The summary. And then chapter 2 is going to be shit just got real. Okay? So that's chapter 1, y'all. Anybody who follows me on TikTok or on Facebook or Instagram or Snapchat or any outlet, I really appreciate every single like, every single follow. Let me tell y'all something. I am from Omaha, Nebraska, but those of y'all that's on TikTok, some people be trying to come for me, saying that, you know, my voice, and I address the shit on TikTok. But let me say this. Please don't think that people from Nebraska is not with the shits, because we with all the shits. Y'all better Google Douglas County. And that ain't saying nothing. I'm a positive person. I ain't trying to do nothing with nobody, but it's in me though. Believe that. I'm going to get to that part of my life. Your girl done been through some shit and done did some shit. Okay? Trust me. So I'm just trying to keep it cute because I'm older and wiser now, and all I'm trying to do is share my gift with the world. So That's the first chapter, y'all. Whew, I did it. It's 30 minutes on the dot. I don't know how I did that, but I said I'm a freestyler just like I do sometime with my music. Why not? Anyways, it's your girl P.LaToye. I love y'all. That's chapter 1, the summary. Y'all soak it all in, put them puzzle pieces together, because it's just getting good. You feel me? Follow me on Instagram, Snapchat, TikTok. I got over 30,000 followers on TikTok, y'all. It's incredible. Thank you guys so much for your love and support. I hope to one day to be in that number. I could never replace Whitney. Never. It would be an honor, though, to fill that void for those of us who are yearning to feel those kind of vocals and feel that kind of soul with music again, because I don't feel like the game has anybody like that right now. Singing the Diane Warren songs and singing the timeless, classic songs that we would listen to all time. You need somebody that could really do like another Bodyguard album. I feel like the game, I feel like I have that to offer to the game. That would be incredible if I could do that. So y'all pray for me. Fingers crossed. I thank you guys for supporting me. I love you guys so much. I love y'all. It's your girl P.LaToye.